Hi, fellow traders. This is my first recap for 2016. Starts off with on a sour note because the trade that I was stocking pre-market, the only ticker I had on my watch list, I completely missed the trade. All because I wasn't prepared. I knew what I wanted to do. I had the trade plan in place. I had a plan whether it went up or down. My bias was to the long side until I saw this candle print pre-market. This was the last candle that printed pre-market, and then this opened and started to wash. I thought that this was going to be a short, even though I had long bias all before. But then it got bought back up and it ran up, got $1.70 on this candle. So it was over VWAP. This candle opened above VWAP. We got a little pullback, but I was looking to get in this, using the 5-minute open range breakout. But unfortunately, I could not find my share size. My accounts back down. I took over half of the money I had left in it, before the year was out. So I'm starting the year off, low. Well, not really low. I'm about almost $7,000 I had in it. So, but it's still a small account. And even if I had $5,000 in it, I still would have taken this trade because the range on it was so that even with 100 shares, you could have made money on this. I could have taken 100 shares here at $99.50 on the 5-minute opening range breakout, and then sold it here somewhere here. Could have sold it at 101. Could have sold it on the pop right up here to the 200, which was my goal. That was my profit target. So had I got in here at $99.50 with 100 shares and sold it around 101.40, that's 2 points. 2 points on 100 shares is $200. That's your daily goal. 200 shares is $400. 300 shares, $600. So you don't have to load up with 1,000 shares to make money on a small account. Like, yeah, you're using margin, but if you use margin responsibly and you're trading tickers that don't have a high probability of halting on you, then you shouldn't be in bad shape, and there shouldn't be any sense of fear involved. Now, when I first started, I did have a problem with using margin because I just had that fear of being trapped in a ticker and it halted and I'm stuck. But I learned, as I learned more, I realized that if you pick the right tickers, there's a high probability that you're not going to get halted. And I'm not holding, for hours at a time. So, using margin smartly and using it responsibly and understanding the tickers that you trade, you shouldn't have a problem, really using margin to make money. And on a small account, you have to. You can't help but use it. But then I missed this run up, and then I missed the run down. I was looking, after it did this, I was looking to see, okay, I'm going to take it. If it loses a VWAP, we got this candle here that printed. And I'm like, well, this is another one that's almost $1, went below the 9 and the VWAP. And really could have based the trade off the 9, but I was tunnel visioned on the VWAP. And when this didn't make it back close enough for me to take a trade, using the VWAP as a risk, I just didn't take it, and I missed this big move down. Now, yeah, the volume had dried up here a little bit, but you see the volume came back and just gave us a nice move down. So I missed both of these moves. And, a year ago, I would have been upset and would have just shut down my computer and walked away because I just blew a big home run type move. This is a type move that I could catch up and catch down and pretty much, cover my week's goal in one stop, one morning within, an hour. But I didn't. I started looking at what Mike was trading, and a lot of people were in chat were, looking at this ticker too. So when I started looking at it, I was looking at it to fail this 9 right here. And it came up, but it didn't touch it. I had an order in, I think at 78 was what I was trying to get it to get to, but it didn't. And then I remember on this last trade how I messed up. And instead of basing it off the 9, instead of basing it off the VWAP, I could use the 9 just as well. And, luckily that hit my mind, so I decided to short this using the 9, as my stop. So once it tapped it, I had an order in right when it tapped the 9. And I didn't get it perfectly, but I got in at 76.80. And that gave me a real tight stop because a close over the 9 would have taken me out of this trade. And we got the nice fade down. This initially was going to be a scalp. But then because I was looking at this lower deviation band, and I said, well, this is, a good 50 or 60 cents. This would be a nice win to get me started for the day. But it continued to wash. And, I did take profit along the way. But I think the best fill I got was down here at 75.35. And, this just turned out to be a great trade. Made my daily goal and then some. And this is another one where, you could have taken 100 shares and got a 1.5 off of this. That's $150. If you made 200 on the first one, 150 on this one, you got 350 for the day. And, you're done by 10:30, 11 o'clock. Unless you get a real good solid trade. And that's what I said, I was done unless we got a nice solid setup. So, I was just watching. After the morning, I always watch the reversal scanners. And, Cat hit the reversal scan. So one thing that if you've been trading for a while, you kind of connect certain stocks together by sector. So I know Cat is a diesel company, so I knew Navistar was one, and I knew Cummins was one. So I just pulled up their charts. Now this one, Cat was running up, and I think I saw it here. Then I pulled up Cummins. Cummins was running up, and I pulled up Navistar. And Navistar is a lower dollar ticker. This used to be, they used to be trading all together. They all were in the $60 to $80 range. But this one, this company's come on bad times and has lost a lot of value. But I still, watch it. It was running up. It didn't have any volume, so it really wasn't tradable. But, these 3 tickers in the diesel sector, all of them were running up. So I had to pick the best one, the best setup. This took Cat just because it hit the scan and it had a little bit more volume. You can look at CMI. The spreads were still good on CMI, but it had a lot less volume. Barely trading 50,000 shares here. And it was running up basically on no volume. So eventually it was going to get hung up somewhere. It was running into this resistance here. And I think somebody asked me about this in chat, and I told them, I wouldn't short it unless it tested this resistance. And you can see it tested it, but it never really lost it. Same thing with CAT. CAT did set up for a trade. I was looking at it off this level here because you see the 200 coming in. You see this is a daily level coming in. And usually that's a pretty strong point of resistance. And I was expecting this thing to roll over here and fall back down to the VWAP. But it didn't. It pushed through. And so this was the next level I was looking at. But I knew if I took a short off this level, I was risking it because there was so much traffic now between this ticker and the VWAP. Now I had this daily level. I had this, the 200. I had the 9 and the 20 all between me and the VWAP. But I went ahead and took it because I was able to get a real good entry. I could use a 10-cent stop because if it ran over this, that would tell me that the trade is dead, real quick. So I got in here, I think it's 67.97 or 67.98, right in there. And did get a little move down, but it got hung up on this level here. It finally lost the 200. So I took some profit and it bounced up. I left like 200 shares on, and then I took another 100 off on this move down and kind of waited to see if it was going to lose it again. But when it bounced and made a higher low, I knew it was time to get out. So I took the last 100 shares off, once it bounced off of this 20 and it made a higher low. But again, this was a nice trade. Just because it was a higher dollar ticker doesn't mean you can't trade it with a smaller account. 100 shares, you would have done real good on. Now, obviously, you probably wouldn't be able to take profits 2 and 3 times. You'd have to kind of split it in half if you were going to want to take profit to ensure, you take some money out of the trade. But still, it's good practice. And I feel you get better, more solid, more consistent moves out of this. Now, this wasn't a good, solid, consistent move. Down, it was kind of choppy. The volume kind of ran away, and it just caused this trade to go bad. But had the volume continued to build in, we would have gotten a good trade out of this. But going back to Baba, this was a good, solid trade. 100 shares, you would have made your daily goal, and that would have been it. So where there's a will, there's a way. You just have to learn the setups. I spent hours and hours and hours learning charts, learning setups, learning how to identify these clean setups and how to trade them. But with all the education in the world, sometimes you do miss them. You do miss moves like this. But the key is don't let it get in your head. Just, put that out of your mind and then, get in and try to find, other trades. And it's okay to follow somebody, but you want to make sure that and you're trading a setup that you're familiar with. Mike's trade was almost over by the time I got in, and I got almost as good a move as he had from when he took the trade. So it's just a matter. I was following him, following everybody because this ticker wasn't on my watch, but I was able to identify a nice setup that I could trade, and worked out beautifully. So that was my first day of the new year. still pretty happy with the way it turned out. Could have been worse. Like I said, I could have folded up after missing that big trade and just let it take me out of my day, but I didn't. Came back and made a positive day out of it. Had a great time in chat. We had an awesome free chat day. I think it was the biggest one that we've had ever since I joined this community, Warrior Trading. It has been growing and growing and growing. It hasn't stopped growing. It hasn't been stagnant. They're always trying to make it better, trying to keep it fresh and keep it relevant to for the members. And it's just an awesome place to be, and it's just a privilege for me to be a part of the team. And I can't thank those guys enough for giving me the opportunity. And if you aren't a member, please, whatever you can put together, this is the place that you need to be. If you like what you see, if you like the trades that we take, the education that we provide every day in the room, that's the place for you. If you follow the rules and you put your time in, it's going to be very difficult for you to fail at this, or to really do so bad that it puts a bad taste in your mouth. So I hope to see you guys that aren't members. I hope to see you in chat, and all of those that are. I'll see you guys tomorrow bright and early in chat. Have a great evening.